The dawn over East Anglia was a pale, watery grey, the kind that made the cold seep into the bones and stay there. On the hard stand at Ridgewell Airfield, the crew of Lucky Linda, a B-17G Flying Fortress of the 301st Bomb Group, moved through their pre-flight checks with the weary speed of men who had done this far too many times. Inside the ball turret cradle, Private First Class Owen Mouse Carter watched his breath fog the metal. The turret was still locked in its upward cradle position, so he sat crouched on the catwalk, waiting for the order to load. At only 5'5", he was the smallest man in the crew, and the only one who could comfortably fit into the suffocating steel sphere that hung beneath the bomber, like an iron teardrop. "Mouse, you ready to go to your little rolling coffin?" Staff Sergeant Vic Larson, the waist gunner, called with a grin. Mouse forced a smile. "It's not a coffin unless you stop covering the tail, Vic." Larson barked a laugh. "Kid brings fire today." Lieutenant Jack Halpin, the pilot, poked his head down from the cockpit hatch. "Crew brief in 10. Target is Dusseldorf rail yards. Reports say Jerry's been restless. Stay sharp." The men nodded, though everyone understood what Halpin really meant. The Luftwaffe had been aggressive lately, and rumor had it they were massing fighter wings to tear into the American bomber streams before Germany's defeat became inevitable. Mouse swallowed. He had flown 16 missions. Today would be 17. He needed 25 to go home. They loaded up, climbed aboard, and Lucky Linda lumbered down the runway into the bruised morning sky. Soon they merged into the endless bomber stream, B-17s and B-24s, stretching from horizon to horizon, engines thundering like an airborne city. Mouse lowered himself into the ball turret mid-channel crossing. He curled inside the tiny steel sphere, strapped in, lowered the hatch and rotated downward. He was alone, completely alone. Below him, 1,000 feet of nothing. Above him, the belly of the bomber. Around him, 2 50 cals and a few inches of armored glass. "Ball turret locked and live," he reported through the intercom. "Roger," Halpern replied. "Keep your eyes peeled, Mouse." Time dragged. Frost crept across the glass. His hands slowly went numb despite his heated suit. The engine's vibration traveled straight through the turret, rattling his teeth. Then over the radio, "Bandits!" 3 o'clock low. Mouse's heart kicked. He swung the turret. 3 black specks flickered into view, closing fast. "BF-109s, 109s coming in!" 3 of them. The fighters streaked beneath the formation, leveling off for an upward slash through the bomber stream. Mouse squeezed his triggers. The twin Brownings roared, filling the turret with vibration and flashing light. Tracers arced toward the incoming fighters. The leading 109 rolled, spraying 20 mm fire upward, ripping through the fuselage of a B-17 in the next element. The bomber burst into flame, spinning down. Mouse swore, "I can't get a lead." "Mouse, break them up," Halpin shouted. "They're coming for us next!" The fighters angled up toward Lucky Linda. Mouse exhaled slowly, tracking the nose of the leader. When the 109's wings leveled for its firing pass, he fired. A perfect burst, his tracers drilled into the fighter's engine, cowling. The 109 yanked sideways, spewing smoke, then cartwheeled into a deadly spiral. "One down," Mouse cried. "Good hit," Larson yelled from above him. The other 2 fighters broke off, but only for a moment. Mouse watched them circle wide for another pass. "More bogeys," the tail gunner shouted. 6, 8, 10. Whole squadron." Mouse's blood ran cold. The Luftwaffe had arrived in force. Within minutes, the sky devolved into madness. W190s dove through the bomber stream in screaming, cannon-firing passes. B-17s exploded like struck matches. Parachutes dotted the sky. Mouse saw a pair of fortresses collide, trying to evade the same fighter. Then came the call that froze his spine. "Pilot to crew. Tail guns are down." "Larson is hit!" Mouse felt the world tighten. Vic, talk to me." No answer. Halpin's voice cracked. "Mouse, you're the only rear defense we've got." Only defense, alone. A single ball turret between Lucky Linda and the swarms of German fighters. The dorsal gun was jammed. The tail position was damaged. The waist guns were offline. Mouse had to hold off an entire Luftwaffe attack wave from inside a cramped metal sphere, barely big enough for him to move in. He clenched his teeth. "I'll cover you." "I won't let them through." The next assault hit like a hammer. FW-190s lined up and came in pairs, diving at Lucky Linda from below and behind, exactly where Mouse was alone. He tracked the first pair, fired a long burst. One fighter sheared off. The other kept coming. Cannon rounds slammed into the bomber's tail. Metal tore away in sheets. The fortress bucked, rattled, groaned. "Hold together," Mouse whispered. "Hold together." He swung the turret violently to track the next fighter. The strain made him dizzy. The turret jerked, stalled for a hair-raising second, then re-engaged. The 190 flashed across his sights. Mouse fired. Sparks burst from the fuselage of the German fighter. It broke off trailing smoke. "Second kill," shouted the radio operator. The crew's cheers were brief. More 109s were forming up behind Lucky Linda. Mouse steadied his breathing, focusing until the whole world shrank to the circle of his sight. He fired short, controlled bursts, walking tracers across the sky, forcing the fighters to break formation or spoil their attack runs. Two 109s tried a head-on upward slash. Mouse caught one with a precise burst to the wing root. The second fired a spray of cannon shells directly into the belly of the bomber. One round struck inches from Mouse's turret. The explosion rocked him so hard he saw black for a moment. His right gun jammed. His oxygen feed flickered, alarms blared. Halpern's voice cut through the chaos. "Engine 3's hit. We're losing pressure." Mouse shook his head, blinked away the daze, and slammed the bolt on his jammed gun. It slid free by a miracle. He fired again. A 190 screamed in from below, straight at the center of the bomber. Mouse held the trigger. His guns chattered. Vibrating the entire turret, the 190 lit up under his fire. The engine exploded.
Just south of
the
Berlin.
fighter barreled beneath the plane and vanished in a fireball.
0800 hours.
Halpern's voice cracked
Flak
with
is
awe.
expected to be heavy.
"Mouse, you just saved us." But Mouse didn't feel saved. The Luftwaffe kept coming. A fresh wave of fighters approached, 6 aircraft in a perfect attack formation. They came through the smoke and chaos like wolves stalking a wounded deer. Mouse's hands trembled. He steadied them. The lead 109 opened fire long before reaching the bomber, sending a chain of glowing cannon shells rushing toward Mouse's tiny cage.
Okay, move
The shells ripped
palletized
through the
field
lower
rations out
fuselage,
first.
knocking out the
And keep
radio
an eye on
and
the
blowing
medical
open
gear in the
ammunition belts. Mouse screamed, but didn't let go of the triggers.
Watch
His
the
tracers
crates on the
reached
left.
out,
Move the
wide,
medical supplies over
then
there,
closer,
quickly now. We
then
don't have all
centered
day.
perfectly on the fighter. The 109 burst apart in midair,
Watch the crates on the
scattering
left.
flaming
Move the medical
shards across
supplies
the
over there,
sky.
quickly now.
Another
we don't
fighter
have all
dove.
day.
Mouse rotated violently. Too
Clipper
violently.
49er, this is
The
Tower.
turret motor
Abort
whined.
landing. Repeat.
It
Abort
jammed
landing.
halfway through
Runway
the turn, he
visibility is
swore.
0 due to sudden
Beat at the
fog.
control
Acknowledge
yoke.
immediately.
The fighter bore down on them, filling his cracked glass viewport with steel and fury. At the last second, the turret broke free. He fired an instinctive burst. The 190 jerked sideways in surprise, missing the bomber by inches and vanishing upward. But Mouse wasn't done. He kept shooting, blind, desperate, but steady. Every burst forced another fighter off its attack run. Every burst bought the bomber precious seconds. He was no longer thinking, only reacting, only surviving. Lucky Linda staggered under the punishment. A second engine began smoking. The left wing dripped fuel. Frostbite bit into Mouse's fingers, where a tear in his glove exposed skin. Still he fired. 1 hour of combat. 2. An eternity of noise. Fire and death. At last, finally, the German fighters disengaged. Low on fuel. The sky slowly emptied until only distant smoke trails remained. Silence filled Mouse's headset. Then Halpern spoke softly. "Mouse, you held them off, alone. I don't know how, but you did." They limped back across the channel. 2 engines dead. Holes everywhere. The tail nearly severed. The waist compartment shredded. The bomber flew like a wounded animal struggling toward shelter. When they touched down at Ridgewell, the landing gear collapsed. Lucky Linda belly slid to a stop in a screaming shower of sparks. Ground crews ran forward and froze. The entire rear half of the bomber looked like it had been chewed apart. The ball turret was blackened, cracked, scorched. But inside, covered in powder burns and sweat, Owen Carter still sat behind his guns. Halpern climbed down and helped Mouse out of the turret. The young gunner's legs were stiff, almost frozen. His face was pale and trembling. Larson, bandaged and limping, reached him first. "You crazy son of a gun," Larson whispered. "You saved all of us." Mouse tried to speak, but emotion tightened his throat. Halpern rested a hand on his shoulder. "You didn't just hold off the Luftwaffe," the pilot said. "You beat them." Word spread quickly. The maintenance chief counted the spent ammo.
Slow down up there. Keep it
Mouse
quiet.
had fired nearly every round Lucky Linda carried. Intelligence estimated he had forced off or damaged at least 10 enemy fighters and confirmed 5 kills, a single-ball turret gunner, against an entire squadron. That night, Mouse sat alone beside the broken hulk of the bomber. The moonlight glinted off the jagged bullet holes. He placed a hand on the
Nozzle
scarred
secured,
metal.
ready for flow.
"I told you," he whispered. "I wasn't going to let them through." In the
Roger that.
darkness, the
Opening the
fortress
valve.
seemed to answer, and Mouse Carter, who had fought the Luftwaffe alone and won, finally let the tears fall.